This is Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast.
Did you guys see this? This is unbelievable.
What is that all about, Kinger?
Get in here for the real thing. Like, let's get weird.
Maybe I blacked out trying to figure out what was going on.
Doubt, worry, fear, because that's what we're breaking the mold on here.
Welcome to Wild on 7th, presented by Pilot Games. We're here until it's here.
Welcome back to Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast, presented by Pilot Games. I tell you what, I was out enjoying some libations this weekend because the 10U squad had a good weekend and we needed to celebrate a little bit. But hey, if you do the same, it is youth hockey season. There's games, time to kill between games. Grab one of those tablets, play Pilot Games e-tabs, because when you do, your community wins. Kinger, I understand you had a big weekend this weekend too in the Sauna. The weather's been good for it. Tell me about your weekend.
Well, first of all, you slayed a dragon. You beat a team that had only lost once or nothing. What were they called? Egan?
Yeah, Egan and the Sparta Cats.
The Sparta Cats. And congratulations.
They've got a really good team.
That's a good win for the Bears. I did something I wouldn't expect to do. I went to a sauna fest at Malcolm Yards. I, at one point this weekend, was in a sauna with 15 other people while they were reading live poetry. And a child in a robe was banging a gong, letting you know that the poetry had begun. That actually happened, what I just told you. That was not a fever dream. That was my weekend. I got to go into this Malcolm Yards place wearing just a robe and flip-flops and pulling drinks. It was great. I would like my life to be more like that more often. Yeah, Sauna Town. I went to Sauna Town. I might be the mayor of Sauna Town. It's good.
The mayor sits on the top, the top deck.
Step. I did go down a step at one point. It was too hot. I didn't feel good about it. I did not leave the sauna, but yeah, I stared down. I think that's what they call it. I lost the staring contest. I went down one stair in the sauna, but I don't know. I guess this is a thing. It's getting popular at breweries. They have one at Fountain Blue in Vegas, this sauna world. I support it. I really support it. It's hard for me to explain. I wish you would talk because I feel awkward.
There's something great about that. Have you seen the wild bit where Middleton interviews like Faber inside those mini saunas with the beer? Like it kind of goes together. That's an unbelievable bit that the Wild have done with that one too. I love that.
It is good.
But weather related, it was like a good weekend for the sun. I mean, it was nice out, but now we've got a little snowfall today. I got out early, shoveled the driveway, Kinger. I'm a shovel guy, very peculiar about my shovels too. You a snowblower guy or are you a service guy?
I have a service. It's just so great. I love it.
So tell me about your driveway. Is it a really big driveway, a really short driveway?
No, I'm very high maintenance. It's not big. I could easily do it myself, but it's pavers. So it's fancy. So not only do I have a service, but they can't do it how they normally do it. They have to drive over, bring snow blowers, snow blow my driveway, shovel my front porch, and then leave. So there's no truck situation on the paver driveway. I really enjoy it. I just love the service aspect of it. It's like when you get the paper in the morning and it's right by your front door. Like I'll look out and be like, oh, that's over an inch. Our guy's going to be coming. I wonder when he's coming. I just look out the window and, he might come twice because it snowed too much. That's exciting when he comes twice. It's all about ROI. When you're on the service, it's all about ROI. Like, hey, 6 times he came this month, honey. We're getting a steal. Last year, no snow, paid the monthly every month.
He made out like a bandit.
I think he came once. Yeah, so I'm kind of hoping to get it back a little bit this year.
I'm that guy that wakes up early in the morning before anybody drives on the driveway to get it shoveled and cleared. And I'm mostly a shovel guy. I'd say post 40 now, I shovel most everything and then I get it to the edge and I'll fire up the snowblower to throw it over the edge if the snow is too high because I don't want to have to lift it that much.
You've got a big driveway too, though. I don't know.
I've got a whole system down. I've got an entire system. Love it. You figure out your shoveling system. It's therapeutic. It is. But I'm peculiar about my shovels too. There's a couple of shovels that are worth it. You need for the ODR, you need a nice shovel, like a pusher. Then you need a lifter, so you need 2 separate shovels. And then I have a scraper, like a 48-inch floor scraper to get the fine snow off of
Can
it.
you explain the 3 different types?
So one's a pusher. It just pushes the snow, but very efficiently.
No bucket, flat, metal, pusher.
Yeah. It's almost like the blade of like the snow pusher
Yep.
on a truck.
And then the lifter is more of a scoop.
It's a scooper.
Okay. And then what's this last one?
That's the 48-inch floor scraper. It's like an industrial floor scraper, and it gets the ice like crystal clear, no powder dust on it. But that's only used for the rink.
How great would it be if I just hired you to do my driveway?
Yeah.
We're not that far away. You roll across 61. You're out there. Carts is coming.
You need a good steel shovel too that gets right down to like the pavement or the concrete at the house. If you've shoveled, you know what I'm talking about.
All you need is Venmo, and you pay a guy.
You know what? We should bring in there. We got a guest here today. That's pretty exciting. Well, let's talk about the show. We were going to have Radio Joe all the way from Boston remoted in. We're leveling up our game, so we've got some remote guests excited about that. Joel will join us in a handful of minutes, but right now let's get to our friend because she has some shovel expertise that we have to unpack here.
She's a pro. Here she comes. Carts, I know you love to shovel.
Yeah, yes.
I actually don't know why. I don't understand when Minnesotans say that. Like, I like shoveling. I'm going to shovel till the day I die and all that. So we decided to bring in a professional
give me some insight.
member of the shovel crew, also a coach, a fan of the pod. This is Erin. And so tell me, how did you end up on the Wild Shovel Crew? When did this start? What's the lifestyle like? Did they give you gear, and did they scout you as a skater, or how did you end up on the Wild Shovel Crew?
One of my best friends from my college team, UW River Falls, her name is Jessie Anderson, and she had been doing the ice crew for about 2 seasons. So whenever I would go to the Wild games, I'd always look for her on the ice. And she had reached out to me and said, hey, I know that you like to skate and you want to stay involved in hockey. The ice crew is looking for some new members. So if you want to apply, here's the application, and feel free. So pretty seamless. It was pretty seamless application.
What was the application process like? What were like the prerequisites? Do you have any references? Can you skate? Like, was there a box you had to check? Figure skates, hockey skates? Like, what was the application process like?
It was if you had 4 years of high school hockey experience. That's it.
Oh, wow. That's legit.
Yeah.
By the way.
That's tough.
I saw a guy at Mariucci this weekend in shoes, and actually my wife was like, this is no good. Like, how are we in the state of hockey and we got a shovel crew just in like high tops doing the work? So I have so many questions. This world fascinates me. So can you give me game day? So you're in the shovel crew, you roll down there, you got like I don't know if you wear like a tracksuit and you maybe get to watch the whole game, but you got to go down there 5 minutes early. Give us like day in the life shovel crew.
Yeah, so I have a little crew that I walk into the games with, a couple of my friends that I've met through the ice crew. So we show up about 30 minutes before the game. We all just hang out, chit chat, eat dinner, and then put our skates on about 10, 15 minutes before the game and help pick up pucks from warm-ups. And then some of us get designated to help with the blue line buddies. So sometimes you'll see the ice crew go out and help with the blue line buddies for the national anthem and the lineups and whatnot. So helping do that. And then, we just get to stand at the Zamboni doors and get to watch the game. And then we go out 3 times during the game, during the TV timeouts. So it's a pretty awesome gig, I'd say. You get to watch the Wild games for free right at ice level with your best friends, and you get paid for it. So
Do you practice? Like it seems like everybody on the ice crew like has a duty. Like you guys know there's routes and everything, like your job, it gets done. Do you guys practice this stuff?
No. Yeah, like your first shift, you show up and they say, okay, you're going to go here. And then you just do it. You get into a routine, and
That's awesome.
And you just got to know your route, your shovel angle, make sure it's right, and everybody pushes it all down towards the Zamboni end. And then who's the designated final scooper? You guys just all shove it out the Zamboni doors, or is there somebody designated for that job?
Tanner, he's kind of the head of the ice crew. He's the one that typically finishes off the job, and puts all the snow into the Zamboni doors.
He's on the wheelbarrow. I want to hear about both wild guys and then opposition. Any funny interactions? Like, are there any just like total, like the nicest, most polite person, like charisma, like, you know, and then maybe there's somebody that's quirky and you're running into Ovechkin, or do you have any good, I know you're a hockey coach and a hockey player and a hockey fan. So what have been a couple interactions doing the shovel crew with both wild or opposition?
The number one best interaction that I've had was when Marc-Andre Fleury joined our ice crew during the preseason game. We were all just standing in the tunnel, and he went up to the newest guy on the shovel team and was like, "How do I get out there?" And Matt was like, "I think you just put on your skates." Yeah, you need 4 years of college or high school. Yeah, exactly. So Matt was like, "I think you just need to put on your skates." And all of a sudden, we're getting ready to go out, and I turn around, and there's a man in a mustache and glasses. And knowing Fleury, how much of a prankster he is, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's him. And he did a really good job, actually. I kind of peeked back a couple times to see if he was in our formation, and he did a great job. And then I could hear him in the back kind of firing up the guys, yelling at him. So I was able to take a photo with him after, and then he was thanking us and saying that we do a good job. So obviously, Marc-Andre Fleury is the best, like one of my favorite players. He's got the charisma for sure.
Who does somebody have the designated job of being the first swipe past the visitor's bench? Because a lot of times on TV timeouts, guys will stand right next to the bench, and you have to be like, "Excuse me," or like, how do you get the guys to move past that?
Yeah, it kind of switches off every game. It depends on who's working. But when we skate by, we hope that they're at us and that they'll just move and that we don't need to say anything. But it's actually pretty loud out there sometimes, so you have to yell at them pretty deeply and say, "Move, excuse me," kind of in the nicest way possible, because you don't want to come off like rude or anything. But yeah, you just hope that they look at you and move themselves.
We should try to get like a clown horn or something, like
to help them get out of the way,
like on the shovel, like a quick horn right there, just squeak squeak, get them out of the way or something.
Erin, do you shovel at home? Like now that you have this on your resume, like are you doing this at the house, or do you have a service? You got the snow blower? Like, does this translate to the home?
It does not, thankfully. My parents have a nice snowblower, so I don't have to utilize my shovel skills in any way, only on the ice.
That's perfect.
How much street cred does it, so you're a coach, what level do you coach?
High school.
High school. So does it give you like street cred with the crew, with like your team? Like, hey, you're out there on the big sheet ice when they go to the games and watch?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I get a picture or a video every single time one of my girls is at the game. Then they always flash their flashlight, so I wave at them. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Hey, in closing, give us a quick shout out to Lakeville North, the Panthers. I know you have a player on your team named Snow Banks. I told you about this, Carter. There's a goalie. Her name is Snow Banks, and she's coached by a shovel person. I mean, it's all happening in Minnesota. Give us, how are we doing? What do you expect? You're getting to the stretch of the season. What do we expect from Lakeville North?
Yeah, we just got our seeding yesterday for playoffs. So we are the 4th seed in Section 3AA. We've got Park Cottage Grove on Wednesday, which we've never played them. They're not in our conference. So I think it'll be a pretty even matchup. I think that I have a lot of confidence in our girls that they're going to show up and continue their season. So if we do win, we'll play Rosemont on Saturday, and they've ended our season the past 2 years. So we've kind of got some revenge for them. So hoping that we can get a big win on Wednesday, and then hopefully beat Rosemont, the number 1 seed, on Saturday.
Well, there is something called a Wild on 7th bump. You know, historically, people that come on the pod have a pretty good week. So we'll be cheering for you and watching for you on the ice as well. So good luck to the Panthers, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, talk about insight. Did you expect on your morning, commute, listening to the pod that you would get to hear firsthand from Erin Olson, a shovel girl for the Wild? I mean, do you think it'll change your routine at the house after speaking with her, or maybe get a certain outfit on when you shovel or anything like that? Or it's just nice to know that that's a world that exists, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. I tell you what, I appreciate it though, because watching hockey day, you got those kids out there shoveling too. There's method to that madness. They've got to practice and train. I like that. Speaking of practice and train, the Wild are in Boston right now practicing BU.
Yep, Aganis Arena.
Yeah. They maybe feel like they need a little bit of practice after the Ottawa game. Where are you feeling? What's your State of the Union?
I'm still looking at the standings. What I always look at is the team that's out of the playoffs in the West. Okay, and that currently is 57 points. You would be on the outside looking in. We have 66. The part that's stressful for me is the Wild have been playing good against all odds. I mean, that road trip, those 2 wins, Toronto and Montreal, were Picasso's, Fleury included, which we get into later with Joe. But I think it was 10 points last week, and now it's 9 points. It just shows how hard it is to keep going the whole season. But the Ottawa game for me, it just looked like it was like a game where it just broke, and I actually just kind of flushed that. I think the Boston game will tell us a lot, especially if they look more like themselves. But I think through the course of a long 82-game season, you get a couple of those. That's a throw away the tape game.
Yeah, don't watch the tape.
If you're Hines,
don't read into it.
You don't need to yell at them. You don't need to do anything. Just flush that, because the entire thing was just gross.
I do think you have to look at the story arc here. The Wild struggled at home. They didn't have the production I think they wanted, or bank the points they wanted at home. Then they go out on the road, Toronto, Montreal. They needed to be good. They've been good on the road. Great game in Toronto. Then Montreal is like an emotional game where everybody wants to level up, be their best. And they play well. That was like the best 2 sets of games I think the Wild have played. And then it was like an emotional release. It's almost, you know what I mean? Where it was like they were so invested in that Montreal game that they needed a reset, and Ottawa was that reset game. And to your point, I think you circle this Boston game and see all right, what are the Wild now? Do they have it? Can they figure it out? Find a way to win a game on the road against a pretty good team? And Boston isn't what they were last year. They've been struggling. New coach, different stuff, but still, it's a chance for the Wild to figure themselves out. Did you see I want to talk about this. You see the Ryan Hartman play?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Hartsey and his body of work. Yeah, so I'll start us off on this. This will be controversial, but
In a good way or bad?
So I like when Hartsey is stirring stuff up and being Hartsey, and obviously the face-off play that you're talking about seems like he's going to be suspended. But just, I don't know, that was such a bad game that there was a little side of me as a fan where I was like, well, at least that guy's as pissed off as I am about this. And just his smile walking down the tunnel. I mean, Hartsey's Hartsey. I don't know what to say. And I think when you get into the playoffs and such, he's the kind of guy you want on your team. But that was a weird play. So his helmet I don't know if he pushed his helmet off or it came off, and then he just they would say take liberties. That would be the hockey way to say he kind of pushed his head down onto the ice. But I don't know. I like when Hartsey's being Hartsey, but I don't want to see him go away for 6 games, which it sounds like could happen. What was your take on it?
I think it's 5 or in person, so 5 or more potentially. My take on it, yeah. Well, he doesn't have, when it comes to the suspension, it doesn't look good for him because he has a history of suspension. He also has a history of premeditated plays on the faceoff dot.
That's the thing that's going to kill him, because they had gotten in the scuffle earlier, same guy. And it does seem like the faceoff dot is his spot. That's his WWE ring. That's where he can do a finishing move. did it on the young kid a couple years ago.
He got perfetti with the stick. He was mic'd up. Unfortunate. But again, that's where guys all of a sudden, like, you have to be careful. Like, it stunk that came out and it went that way, because now guys will be like, well, I'm not going to get mic'd up. Like, that's great content. You love that from him. But him being a team guy, so to speak, in terms of the Wild and the brand and hockey and everything else, ended up costing him, because he was mic'd up when he said this one's going to cost you. Or was it Hartsey that was mic'd up, or the other guy, Perfetti? I think it was Perfetti.
Yeah.
But guys they're going to stop talking or being a part of it. So I didn't love that. That was unfortunate for him. Some of that stuff I think should be left on the ice, but I think it did factor into his suspension. But now you look at it and you're like, okay, well, these are two potential premeditated plays on face-offs. So it doesn't bode well for him. But here's where I'll go to defend Ryan Hartman. I think this year, like, production-wise, would you say he's had a down year offensively?
Yeah, he's at 17 points, so he would be. He's a goal scorer, Hartsey, right? He would be a, what do you call it, a Cy Young guy more than anything. But yeah, he's had a little bit of a slower start for sure.
At the start of every single year, your GM and coach will come in and they'll say, I'm not asking you to be something you're not. I want you to try to be the best version of you. And what they're trying to tell you is, like, just be you. The way that you play has gotten you to this locker room, to this moment right now. Don't change. This isn't the moment to try to be something more or something different. The only guy in that locker room I think that they ask that of is Ryan Hartman. Be something different. What got you here is playing on an edge, being a certain way, and that has value. And now all of a sudden, I think it's the league and others, and it's caught up to him where they're saying, you now have to be something different. So Ryan Hartman goes from making 1.8 last year to $4 million this year, and he's a repeat offender. I think to start this year, he respects that contract and his teammates. And he's not the best version of himself, because he needs to be on that line, towing it to be the best possible version of Ryan Hartman. And when he respects the contract and the league and his teammates and those messages, he's maybe not as productive offensively. He's trying to be something that he's not. That is hard to do and hard to do consistently. In hindsight's 2020. I'm not saying somebody like Bill Guerin should have done this, but if I had an opportunity to go back in time and be the general manager or somebody that gave Hartman this deal, I would say, hey, I'm going to give you a couple extra $100,000, and that's going to be the money that you're going to pay for these fines. Like, don't bank this money. I want you to continue to play the way that you've played, but you're at 4.2 or 4.25 instead of 4, because that's the money that is going to be set aside for you to have to pay these fines, because you are good and it's valuable when you play this way. Now, he can't be taking 5-minute majors in a parade to the penalty box, right? But there are times where he draws penalties, he engages the other team, he antagonizes. That has value too, and I think he's at his best when he does that. That's my filibuster kind of.
That's an interesting. I think you're right. I mean, it doesn't seem like that's the style of play. You know, we were so keen on the 7th Street Savages back in the day, and kind of this truculent offense, lead the league in majors, and but there was something about I like having a take a number guy. Yeah. I've always liked.
There's value.
I liked it when I had a little son and I would be able to watch a hockey game and go, you know, Hartsey's going to do something very bad soon, because one of their team did something very bad, and that's how hockey works, son. And actually, you know, that game, he was playing his style. Now, it really hurt us. The 5-minute major, they scored a bunch of goals. I think they only scored like 1 goal, 5-on-5, and so that penalty was very tough in terms of the scoreboard. But just his smile when they gave him the match, and he's kind of halfway down the tunnel, and he just has this look like really, I get kicked out of the game. I fell on him. I hit him. I fell on his head, and. But I will always like a player like that just goes, oh, wait, his helmet's off. I just, there's something, it's hockey. It's a part of it. And I think you're right. Maybe he doesn't know exactly where that element fits. Maybe if he is If he's got blood on his jersey, does he have 40 points instead of 17? I don't know the answer to that, but I think it's a very interesting point. He may be the one guy asking to do something that's not his
Be
natural
something that
self.
he's not.
Yeah,
That's hard to do.
Hartsey, that was actually the best part of the game on Saturday because the whole rest of it was terrible. I was like, well, at least Hartsey was being Hartsey, but I don't know that helped.
We've got some Super Bowl chatter coming up with Radio Joe. He's an Eagles fan, but if you're hosting a party, Kinger, where are you getting your food? Because I might be having some people over. I need to know where to go.
Oh, so you're hosting? Wow, that's a big deal. So I would go to the official grocer of the Minnesota Wild. That is Cub. Some options for you. You could get some Ritz or some Oreos for $3.49. You could get some Old Dutch Ripple Chips or Dutch Crunch. 2 of those for $7. Why not get some beef jerky? $4.99. Bacon. You want to do bacon? Maybe
bacon.
$5.99 for some bacon. Top of the tater, $3.99. We got it all. Red Bull, $6.99. Cub is one of us. They're local. I can't think of a better place to go before the big game, as we call it, when we're not in the official business of the big game. Head over to Cub. You can also get some of your libations, as you like to say there. They do deliver as well. So check out Cub for all of your big game needs. And I guess if it's being hosted at your house, that's a really great place to be structurally for your guests.
You got it. One thing I do know is that regardless of the weather this weekend, anybody will be comfortable inside. And some of that is because of my friends at Wild Construction. We've got a new roof over our house and couldn't be happier with it. And if you have any doubts or insecurities or anxiety about your house or your roof, whether that be your exterior siding, your windows, Wild Construction, look them up. They'll make it happen. And with the snowfall today, too, it reminds me of some of the storms we had over the summer. Cross Lake, there was that massive storm that ripped through, lots of damage up there. If you have a lake place up there, you live up there as a listener, and you still just don't know if you have damage or you need replacement of your roof, Wild Construction's up there. They've got teams available this spring to get on your roof. Check it out, wildconstruction.com. They'll make it happen.
We didn't talk about 97, the surgery, because that happened.
I know.
God, we were like doing.
We released the pod on Monday.
We're doing the Bosch Law injury report and dancing all the way to the bank. All the pucks are out of the box, and then this thing went around, and at my group text, it got real dark fast. Minnesotans, when something bad happens to us, we just take it so personal. So there was a couple things that happened when he got hurt, right? When he decided to have surgery. Instant reaction was like, this is some sort of LTIR deal. We're playing cards better than anyone in the league. We got the points in the bank. We got off to the early start. Maybe we're going to sign some guys and Carell's going to come back to the playoffs. And then it very quickly was that's not the case. And this is one of the texts I got. The sports gods must live over Minnesota, and we are their entertainment. Every day they wake up and determine what gives us pleasure, and they hit us with a mallet. Vikings 14-2, lose the first playoff game. Twins on the verge of being great, boom, kill the payroll. Gophers are on a roll, hockey, 9-3 loss. And this was it was storm clouds everywhere. That's why I think it was so important. They went on the road in that Toronto game, even the Foligno diving Blake Wheeler at the X goal on the empty netter, and then Montreal with the flower tribute. It was so nice for the boys to kind of course correct the fan base just crawling into a hole like a prairie dog. Because, that was tough. I did not see that coming. I did not. I just didn't. He said he was 60% was the quote I heard. So, I was at the Utah game, and he had a couple plays where it was almost like even at 60%, he's still the best guy on the ice. But I guess when you're in that situation, you got to take care of it, right?
Yeah. So let's get to the Bosch Law injury report right now because we've got some good news from site. So we'll let Radio Joe break it a little bit, but there are a couple of bodies, hint, hint, coming off of the injury report. Don't know for sure if they'll be available for the game in Boston, but I think if you're reading the tea leaves, there'd be no reason for them to be out in Boston unless they're going to play.
It seems excessive.
Yeah, so we'll throw a tease out there. A couple of Swedes might be available, so that's obviously great news. And then you do have Kaprizov.
We just have one guy, right? That would be in the injury box, just 97.
Yep.
And hopefully, it's funny how hockey is just so secretive, right? Like, I'm sure you get this. Hey, what's going on with Kirill? You know, I always just tell people, do you think I know anything? I mean, there is no way. I don't know when he had surgery. I don't know what he had surgery on. I don't know if it might have been upper body and they were saying lower body. I mean, he could have had like cataract surgery for all I know. I have no idea. It's just total lockdown in the world of hockey. It's amazing. But hopefully it went well.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Hopefully it's closer to that 4-week timeline than it was. Again, the silver lining that this Four Nations tournament is over that time. So we're all excited about the fact that, hey, you've got the Four Nations, the Russians aren't involved. So if you're one of those teams that has a Russian and he's at home getting polished, and then for the home stretch, you know, he gets to come out shiny fast.
This is your theory. I like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Superstar Russian teams is the same as sunshine in April.
Playoffs. Yes.
Okay. I like that. And we got one of those.
We do have one of those. Now, I didn't factor in injury time during Four Nations. So it's, again, a silver lining for a different reason where they're not having to play games or he's not having to miss games over that stretch. But it's not like he's going from, you know, like changing new tires and getting fresh out there. Like there's a little more to it. Like they have got to look under the hood.
Well, Trennan's playing better. Murat's playing better. I think this Russian theory is interesting.
Yeah.
You know,
we gotta
like
see how it plays out, but
they're in the warming oven. You know, it's like when you got your good food, the Russians are just in that warming oven just waiting to help us on the stretch drive. I think it's a great theory.
yeah, I was on NHL radio this last week, and they asked, like, well, you know, what are the Wild? They got off to such a great start. They were like first, second in the NHL, and then in the Central, like they were only chasing Winnipeg. But lately, they've been more of a 500 club. You know, goaltending was terrific to start. That's come down to earth a little bit. You know, what are the Wild and what will they be at the end of the year when everything shakes out? And I think I answered the question, like, what do they want to be? I think they want to be probably 2 or 3 in the Central. That's where they'd like to finish. Like, I don't think they'd want to play a team like Winnipeg or Vegas. And I think they've had success against Dallas and Colorado this year to some degree. So they'd love to have to face off against one of those teams. But I think the question probably was more like, which team are they? Are they the team that was off to the great start, or are they what we see now? And I don't know that I know the answer to that. I think at the start of the year, everybody's healthy, great training camp, everything fell into place and it worked. But now all of a sudden things have gotten off the rails, and can they get it back on the rails? I don't think it's like panic by any stretch of the imagination, but are they still that dominant team that can go like 20-5 over the course of 25 games? I don't know. I think what we learned this week is if they're playing teams like Toronto, you know, Montreal have been playing better hockey. It starts with defense first, where they have to keep the opposition to 2 goals or less. It's back to they need a commitment to a team style of game and to play out in front of their goaltender, make their goaltender's night easy. If they're not doing that, then they likely don't have a chance to win. But when they do play that way and there's full commitment, I think they can beat anybody. That's easy to say, but that's also hard to do. I think you look at the Ottawa game and they're like, oh, well, you can't do it every single night. It's just hard to be like that committed to a certain style all the time. Sometimes you just need like talent to take over.
And Ottawa is red hot. I mean, that was just I think that was a hiccup. The interesting thing is each week right now is like a season in itself.
It feels that way.
So we typically see each other on Mondays, right? So now we got Boston. This is your bounce back game after Ottawa. You get to show your true colors. Then you got Carolina at home. That's no joke. And then the Islanders at home before the Four Nations. So You got to get it. It seems like the recipe is, 4 points out of 6. Keep banking 4. They say 500. You can eke in with 500, but I think we want to be, if we could get to 100 points, third year out of 4, I think with 100 points, that is significant. That's a real tip of the cap to Billy Guerin too. I mean, this group and really this year running it back and betting on this group. So yeah, I think this week is another big week, just like last week with Kirill going out. How do we respond in Boston? How do we deal with a top-notch team in Carolina coming into our rink where we've struggled? And then the Islanders on Saturday, can we really start winning at home before the break, feel good about ourselves in Cabo or wherever they are?
Well, this is a poorly kept secret, and I've spilled the beans twice now, but let's throw it out to Joe here soon. But before we do, he's going to give us some news on Jimmy. Why don't you tell me about Jimmy's and what they've got going on first?
Well, this is the time. I mean, this is the sweet spot. If you're looking for some creativity, if you want to win the race at your big game party, you need Jimmy's Dips. You want to get a veggie tray, maybe build a stadium, and build the New Orleans stadium out of celery and carrots, and you're going to get some dill dip, you're going to get some ranch dip. I mean, everybody's bringing all the kind of unhealthy stuff. Just slide in there feeling lean and crisp. Maybe take a fresh shower on the way to the big game party and walk in with that Jimmy's, and everybody's going to see you glowing. That's Jimmy's. Don't you be messing with my dressing. When you host, are you going to be doing anything outside on the rink or anything like giving anybody water?
Yes, I'm hoping that the girls will be able to skate out on the rink, and everybody will have the opportunity to have crisp reverse osmosis water right from my Kinetico K5 system. But what I want to talk about today is customer service. Love my friends at Aquarius Home Services. I couldn't recommend them more. They're always respectful of me. Love the process of getting an appointment to call. They say, how can I make you smile? You say, I need help with my water. Cool. We'll get a tech out there now. You get a text message from the tech. You introduce them, tells you about his likes. He comes over. He puts booties on his feet, super respectful, tells you everything about it. Like all along the way, they're out in front of it. They're respectful. They understand what you, the consumer, feels, wants, needs. They give it to you. I love our friends at Aquarius Home Services. They've earned the right to be recommended. AquariusHomeservices.com. Check them out.
So he asks you, how can I make you smile?
That's what they say. How can I make you smile?
When he walks into your house, or is that on the phone?
That's on the phone. Like you call, you're like, hey, I need to make an appointment. Hey, how are you?
I'm more comfortable with that, I think. That's nice.
Let's throw it to our buddy. Let's bring in Radio Joe all the way from Boston.
Because our hockey team is hot on the road, we decided to go on the road for our interview, sponsored by Duke Cannon. If you're watching this on television or YouTube, when it comes to hair, we got to have a high ceiling at BU Arena right now because Radio Joe is in full form with the rooster here. If you don't have the gifts like Radio Joe, you can cheat with Duke Cannon. Head over to your local Target hardware store. Look for some of their hair products. Look for their shampoo. Look for their body washes, their big-ass bricks of soap. Duke Cannon. Hardworking products for hardworking dudes. How is Boston? It's got to be fun to be on the road with this team when, besides the little Ottawa hiccup, it's like Mad Max Thunderdome when you're on the road out there.
Yeah, they're playing great outside of the Ottawa game. Boston is good. The weather's beautiful today. It was a little bit of snow late last night, but teams on the ice here at the home arena of the Boston University Terriers. That's John Hines' alum. His former college home. So kind of cool. Chris Kelleher, one of the Wild assistant GMs, also a BU Terrier alum. So they're out there right now, and Jonas Brodin and Marcus Johansson are on the ice for Minnesota. So that's Trey excited to get a little bit healthier.
Oh, big news. We got a couple of bodies back. Hey, did Hines give you a tour of the arena and maybe show you all his names on all these plaques and everything? Or you guys just show up to the rink and how'd it go?
Well, I gave myself a little bit of a self-tour because he was pretty much about to take the ice when I got here. But it is kind of cool. I did post it on Twitter, and they have jerseys of all the Terriers alum that have reached the NHL, like big-time names like Jake Ottinger and Grizzly who played, one time was a Bruin and all that, so it's kind of cool to see those guys. And they have the Hobie Baker banners up here, Chris Drury, Matt Gilroy, Jack Eichel, Macklin Celebrini. Yes, it's always cool to be in a different. I mean, Arts is a former player. Like, it's at least a little bit more exciting than your normal practice rink when you get to, skate somewhere else, or at least I find it kind of cool.
How's Boldy adjusting? BC Eagle, is he just taking the day off, or is he, getting a slice of pizza? Is he at Daily Catch getting some seafood? Is he actually on the ice at BU? Is he comfortable with that?
He looks very, very upset. Feels cheated. The Bean Pot is tonight. At TD Garden where the Bruins play. That's kind of cool. That's the 4 Boston schools. You get Northeastern and Harvard, and then 2 big boys in BC and BU. So that's about as heated as it gets from a college hockey perspective out east. But yeah, I think Boldy's probably a little sour. Like, wonder why he got the short end of the stick having to practice against his hated rival. But look, honestly, the Wild need a good practice session right after a game like they had the other night in Ottawa. It's good for this team to get out here and do some battle drills and just get back to their game.
We'll get into the real hockey, but I've been hearing like Gorg watches like 2 or 3 movies in the theater on the road. Now, there's not a lot of great movies in the theater, best I can tell. So what did he go see? Does he do popcorn and then refill? I got to know more about what I want to know. Like, we should sell this in a silent auction, right? You fly in.
Well, I mean, I don't know what that auction value would be, Kinger, but he did take in a double feature the other day. He saw the Mark Wahlberg plane movie, whatever the heck that's called,
with the wig, yeah.
And then he saw the Brutalist, which is like 3.5 hours, which sounds just brutal to me. There's your zinger of the day. But I don't know. I didn't ask him. Did he pay for both features, or did he just time them up?
That's right.
Where he jumped from one to the other?
Oh, sneaky.
I don't know. I haven't found that out yet.
Little hallway walk.
He is our movie guy, though.
Did he see the Brutalist right before the Ottawa game? Because that could have messed everything up. Was that the last thing he did before the Ottawa game? If that's true, that entire loss is on him. It's about the same
double
length
feature,
of time.
He took it in Ottawa, the double feature. So, yeah, that makes sense. Now we know who to blame.
So are you kind of saying that Gorg might be a per diem pack rat, didn't want to pay that extra $14 for the second movie? Maybe.
Absolutely. He can claim he paid for both. But with his AMC and senior citizen discount, I think we both know that he tried to even get a little bit cheaper and just pay for one.
You think he went up with the empty popcorn bowl and said, "Can I get a free refill?" Oh, no.
I spilled this. My movie's about to start. Would you refill it for me?
He's a silver sneaker, too. He gets some sort of discount. I wanted to hear this Montreal night. We'll do Toronto, too. But, I mean, this deal with Flower and the crowd and, it's kind of I'm not crying, are you crying moment. Will you just give us a little bit of being there vibe of this game in Montreal with the shutout and a special night for a beloved player?
Really cool, to say the least. Special night. When you get the great pleasure of working with Tom Reed, as you guys know, and he's seen every Wild game, literally. He's been in hockey broadcasting in this sport for 50 plus years. And for him to say that's a night he won't ever forget, that tells you all you need to know. He's seen it all. So it was really cool. You could tell it was emotional for the entire team. At the second intermission, Freddie Shabbat, Wild goaltending coach, came back up to the press box after going down the locker room. And I just had a quick word with him. And he said that Fleury told him he's never been so tired from facing 8 shots in his life. Because I think the Canadians only had 8 shots in spirits, but that's how, just ripping his stick, so to speak, that Fleury was, right? He was just wound up, stressed out, I guess, would maybe be a way to put it without, speaking for him. So I thought that was kind of cool. You knew how much he wanted it, you know how much the team wanted it for him. And then once they got the lead, it was pretty much, nobody screw this up. We need a pitch shutout for this guy. So awesome night. I was just thinking about it yesterday. Dinger and cards. Like, I wish it was one of those games where at some point I just took my headset off when the crowd was getting into it. We were kind of radio silent, letting the crowd, for the listener, like just, take over the broadcast there for a minute. Because sometimes with the headset on, like, you just feel like, I remember doing that at the Winter Classic at one point, going out at intermission just to kind of feel the vibe and the atmosphere. It's a little different when you got your headset on, but just what a night, what a win. Just exemplify. You think about the big moments for Fleury this year. The game in Pittsburgh, gets the win, place was raucous, like celebrating him. The penalty shot, the shootout save on Ovechkin to saw the way that went. Another huge moment, Fleury delivers. And then the game in Montreal. It's like this guy in the big spots this year has been awesome. Really cool night to be a part of.
Yeah, well, it was cool. There's something to a team wanting to play for a goaltender out in front of them. Like, was there, did you get the sense, could you feel it where, like, everybody was going to be dialed on that night for Flower?
Yeah, and it's honestly, I think you see this Carts. I mean, feels like every time he's in net.
Yeah, lately.
These guys love him so much. It's like they're going to play their asses off for him, and he's been pretty darn good. So I don't think they played differently in front of Gustafson. I'm not saying that, but I just think there's a little bit extra when you know what's at stake for this guy as his career winds down, and just what a great teammate he is. And chatting with Freddie Gaudreau on the radio on the post-game show that night in Montreal, like, he was pretty emotional too, right? He's a Quebec native, and he gets it. And he just talked about how much they love Flower as a teammate and a person, and they wanted it really badly for him.
You do. When you're done playing, there are some games that stick out where you're like, man, I was a part of that night and that was cool, or I was there, we were teammates, so let me tell you about this. And it seems every time Fleury like plays, or whenever he's around, he's one of those guys where 10, 15 years after you're done playing, you're going to be able to tell a story on this night, Marc-Andre Fleury did this, and he's like the greatest maybe to ever do it. I think the guys kind of embrace that. And they want to be able to tell their side of the Marc-Andre Fleury story and their contribution to it.
Absolutely. I mean, even if you're Ben Jones, who joined the team on this trip and didn't play in that game, like, even just to be around the room and be able to share some of those stories, I'm sure is really cool. And then, you look at a guy like Jared Spurgeon. He's played his entire career here, 900 games with Minnesota. He'll go down as one of the best defensemen the franchise has ever seen, have his number retired someday. And I'm sure he's some ways going, man, this is kind of Fleury's story, this year. So I just think it's really cool to see, like, as you said, you got guys from different backgrounds, different career paths. But at the end of the day, a lot of this year is sort of almost dedicated to get Fleury back in the playoffs and hopefully, taking this team to spots that they haven't been in a long time.
Hey, I've got to ask you, because I thought about this and wanted to send a note. I needed somebody on the road to help me. As a memento, I was thinking, in Montreal, Fleury's last night, it'd be great if you could get him to sign like the toasty dog wrapper, or the toasty dog box, maybe share a dog. And listeners, if you don't know, in Montreal, there after the game, there's usually pizza and everything else. Not there. It's like these toasty dogs. So think of
what makes it a toasty dog.
It's like a piece of toast.
It's the bread.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on a piece of
So you
toast.
know how, have you ever had like a lobster roll?
Yeah.
You know how they cut, it's like a hot dog bun, but they cut the sides off of it?
It's like a top sliced bun, or however they would phrase it. So it's like an open, it looks like a hot dog, obviously, but the breading's just a little different, and it's toasted. Now, the old Montreal Forum apparently had unbelievable toasty dogs. Time has changed that, unfortunately, because if you again, talk to Tom Reed and Lou Nanny on this trip, and they rave about the toasty dogs from the 70s. Not so much now, right? But they're still there in the press room. And to Clark's point, post game, Clark, you should have sent me a text. I definitely would have been like, Flower, and Flower, he would have gotten a kick out of that.
Yeah.
Being like,
You'd sign a toasty dog with mustard.
Yeah. Yeah. Forget the 300 moldy friends and. Sorry, can you go see your friends and family in a few minutes? I need you to sign this toasty dog wrapper for Carts.
That's great. I wanted to do it. This is as a guy who watches all of the games, yourself. This scoring on these two games. Okay, I'm just going to read you the names. Liam Ogren, right? I mean, just from Gaudreau and Trennan, and then we just go. We go Rossi from Foligno and Hartman, and then we got Devin Shore from Rossi, And then Freddie again from Trennan and Spurgeon. Then we got Murat in Toronto, Lauco and Shore. And then it's Spurgeon, Zuki, and Eck. Those are some names we know well. Foligno, I think that was the amazing empty netter where he beat the guy on the race, again from Freddie. So that is depth scoring is everything, right? I mean, if I were to read you those names and say, we're going to go on a 2-game heater, and the names you're going to hear the most are Ogren and Goudreau and Trennan. And I mean, that's pretty cool that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, they needed it. Cards could probably speak to this too, because I remember early in the year, the TV side of things, they were digging up numbers on fourth line scoring, and there just wasn't anything there for Minnesota. They were playing well, they were playing effective, playing their role, but the offense wasn't there. And it was all Kaprizov, Boldy, and Zuccarello and Eck. Rossi obviously has had a magnificent season. So it's couldn't come at a better time, to your point, Kinger. And look, if you're getting scoring from those guys, you probably expect to win those games because your top end guys are almost always going to chip in every night with a point or two. So now you're talking about third and fourth liners scoring a goal or two. Top line gets one, maybe the power play gets one. If you're scoring 3 or 4 in a night, you find some success most nights. So, great to see. I think that line has some confidence right now. John Hines has talked about that. And Zadimov finding his game a little bit. Short's been very effective. So it's good to see.
Hey, the team's been good on the road, and they get back on the road. They win 2 games, maybe the best 2 games, Toronto, Montreal, back-to-back, tough against the East. They've also been good against the East. What are the Wild in your eyes right now? More those 2 games or more the Ottawa game where, they seemed off a little bit? Like, at the start of the year, they had great consistency, but that's waning a little bit. And I think it's understandable why with injuries and things, but, what are they to you right now? What's the state of the team?
I think they are, in my opinion, they just need to stay afloat. You look at there's just under 30 games left. If they win half of them, they're going to make the playoffs. I think, after tomorrow, Boston might be 28 games to go. Seriously, if they win 14, you do the math, they're going to have, mid-90s points, and that should get you in. So for me, I'm just kind of in the mode of maybe it's not perfect right now. Just keep finding a way to play well, to grind out some points. I hope the Ottawa game is a one-off. Sometimes in sports, you can take a beat down and not recover from it as quickly as you'd like. I'm not saying that's the case of the Wild. I'm not saying even that's a hockey thing, but I think we've all watched enough where sometimes a team, they don't play particularly well. They get exposed. They get handed a pretty good whooping, and maybe the confidence does wane a bit. So I'm very intrigued by the game in Boston to wrap up this road trip to see how the Wild respond. I think a good practice day today, like I mentioned earlier, is just what the doctor ordered. Get back to their game. The Bruins haven't been world beaters this year. I think there's an opportunity for Minnesota to have more success to round out the trip. So I guess, Cards, to answer your question, I'm kind of on the fence here. I'm intrigued by the end of this road trip and those 2 games at home before the Four Nations face-off break. If they can, win 2 of the next 3, I think they're in a great spot, coming out of that break with some rest and hopefully Kaprizov nearing a return to really make a push for the playoffs.
Yeah, it's great news that they've got Brodin and maybe JoJo coming back too, like a shot in the arm at the right time, because I think you look at the weekend and they had the big game against Toronto, Montreal, emotional games, and then sometimes it's inevitable too, the letdown in the Ottawa game. And can they move past that? They were good at that early in the year. It was the strength of the club, the resolve. Do they still have that? And that's critical to have. You're in the dog days. Can you fight through this? So we'll see.
Yeah, and the Jonas Brodin thing, returning the lineup, I asked John Hines the other day, I think the Wild one time in the last 13 games have had 30 or more shots. It's just not enough shooting the puck with, any type of consistency. You're not going to score a ton of goals when you're at 26 shots a night. You're just not, no matter how good the chances are. But getting a guy like Brodin back that transports the puck, he's a human breakout a lot of times. He can get the puck in the forward's hands. He can play in every situation. He helps the penalty kill. I really believe that getting him back could, you think defense with Jimmy Broads, but I think getting that puck up ice, helping the offense in the transition game as well, be maybe a little bit more underrated with his return to the lineup.
All right, hey, buddy, big weekend for you coming up. It's Super Bowl Sunday. You've got the Eagles, Philadelphia guy. I don't know if any of the listeners know how much you bleed Eagles green. Where are you going to be watching this game? And are you nervous? Are you going to have any fingernails left come Monday?
I'm trying to, like, this week so far hasn't been so bad, like, as far as the anxiety level, the preparation process, but come this weekend, I expect to be pretty much a wreck. But I will be dialed in at home is my guess. My parents will actually be in town. Got some youth hockey and stuff to juggle around over the weekend, but come kickoff on Sunday, I will be ready. And I expect the Birds to come out, play like they should, which is run the damn football and let their defense do their thing. I'm excited for the rematch against the Chiefs. Would love to see them get it done. I'm going to try to stay somewhat even keeled, but I think that's freaking impossible. So that's where I'm at.
Are you going to be like a hollering at the TV kind of guy, or you sit there with your feet up and legs crossed, or how are you going to be watching this thing?
I don't think I'll be sitting, if I'm being honest. I can't sit. I'll be pacing, sweaty palms most likely, probably some profanities laced towards the television like they can hear me, right? And like I have an effect on it. Have a couple of cold ones and just pray to God they win.
Are you going to do anything to create a Philadelphia-like atmosphere at your home in Minnesota? Are you going to have cheesesteaks with the Wiz? Are you going to throw a snowball at Santa? What jersey will you be wearing? Will Bradley Cooper be there? I have questions. How is it going to be home field advantage?
I haven't done this yet, but I'm going to ask my parents if they can bring out some soft pretzels.
Okay.
Now they'll have to freeze them before they leave because even on the short flight and then getting in, to Minnesota, like I'm going to need them to be in. Soft pretzels can get stale very quickly if they're legitimate, good Philadelphia soft pretzels. So I need like the process of them being frozen and transported properly to Minnesota to be pristine in order to enjoy them on game day the way they are designed to be enjoyed.
All right. Well, the Eagles might be the underdog a little bit. I like that heather gray shirt you have on now. If things get real sideways, get a white towel, roll it up, tuck it underneath that collar, and just run up and down the stairs like Rocky. See if
Get the neck roll.
Some of that underdog magic. You got me, man?
He does look like that a little bit.
The steps here are a little steep, Carts. I don't know if I get more than a couple of laps up and down before needing to tap out. But I appreciate the vote of confidence. I'll be ready. All right.
Well, good luck. I think I'm rooting for the Eagles. I've got Chiefs fatigue, like I'm hearing all over the place. So I'm an Eagles fan for the weekend.
Beyonce.
I appreciate that.
Beyonce beat Taylor in the Grammys last night. Maybe that's a sign that things are going away from Kansas City. It could be. Hey, you're a gambling guy. Let's do one here. Kirill has 52 points. Okay, Kirill's got 52. I think we need to pass this baton at some point. The beautiful Russian's been injured for quite some time, and he's still our scoring leader. You got Rossi at 46, Boldy at 45. Those are the two picks. I think Zuki's too far back at 36. Who's going to pass Kirill first for the scoring league? Is it going to be the Rossinator in his turtleneck, or is it going to be Matt Boldy getting geared up for the Four Nations? I'm taking the Austrian myself. It is a 1-point advantage. Where do you guys go on this? Rossi, Boldy, baton, pass, bet.
I'm going to go Boldy passes Rossi tomorrow in Boston.
Okay, big
in front
Boston
of his
vibes.
parents and his family and friends. Millis, Massachusetts native, I think delivers against the Bruins to pass Rossi, but Rossi is the first to pass to Chris off.
Okay, so a little Boston bump, but you're still on the Rossinator. How about you? He's going into deep analytics here.
Me?
Yeah, he's.
I was trying to go.
Pulled his phone out right.
I was going to go with the dark horse. What's Zuki sitting at right
36 though, man.
36. That's too many to come back.
That's like
from.
15 points.
Those are like 10-1 odds right there.
Yeah,
plus 8,000.
I like that read though, Joe. I do think Boldy's probably going to have a night at home against Boston.
Oh yeah.
And I think he needs to have a night. I think the Wild need him to have a night too. So timing might be good for him to be in Boston and hopefully put on a show. So with that, I'm going to say he has multiple points. He's done that like the last 2 months. When he scored, he's had multiple points in a game.
Yeah.
I think he's got like about 21 points over the last 28 games, but he's only scored in 12 total games. Like he's a multi-point game kind of guy. So I'm going to take him to get hot, stay hot, and then he'll eventually pass Kaprizov.
Is that a real stat? He's only scored in 12 games?
12 games over the last 28.
Okay. Yeah, so he's streaky, I guess would be the way to say it.
And when he scores, he's one of those guys, and this was always the case too. If you score in the first period, you play free, and it's easier to get your second cookie that night. It's just it's weird how it works like that, but I think that's the case for both.
Well, it's no pressure, right?
Yeah, you've
From a
done your
scoring
job. You feel
standpoint.
good.
I got my one earlier.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
by the way,
Boldy,
speaking
two
of
Rossi.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
speaking of the predictions from our preseason show, I might be getting off my wallet this summer for you guys
Billy Sushi.
because I do not like my predictions are
It's harder than it.
not looking good.
It's hard. I had
Guys,
one more.
Well, we're hurting too because we both had Hartman having offensive output seasons, and now he's looking
Guys,
at a 6-game suspension.
I said the Wild were going to win 30 games at home.
Yeah, that's going to be difficult. Although they do play about 20.
Is it
20 in
even
March.
possible? I think they have like 25 left. So
They're like all at home though. Maybe.
But I mean, had I said they'd be the best road team in the NHL, then I'd be looking forward to that free meal. But I went the opposite. I said they'd be like the best home team in the NHL, and they've been arguably one of the worst. So I'm gonna have a tough time winning this prediction. And that's just one of mine, of course. Maybe I'll hit a few others, but I just know that one is way off.
I just have one more road question from me. Lou Nanny being on the road, this guy's a clothes horse, right? He's got the does he have like 6 suitcases, or does he have his own private transportation that
yeah, Anthony LaPanta has to carry his suitcases.
It's so funny
does
you
he have a
say
guy
that.
with an umbrella?
I
I want to know.
think he has a new suitcase with him because he mentioned how big it is. And I think his wife helps him get ready for the road trips because he said he couldn't find any of his
Pockets.
he must have got to Toronto and opened the big suitcase up with all these pockets and didn't know where some stuff was, and he was panicked a little bit. That's the vibe I got. But so far, Lou's been Lou, which is awesome. Like him and Tom Reed together it's just gold. It's comedic gold. It's grumpy old men. They just roast each other nonstop. Like the two of them, they just tell stories and chirp each other, and it's amazing. And just fortunate, to be around those two guys. The one trip a year that Lou's on, always it's always special just to spend some time with such a great person.
Yeah, awesome, good stuff, Joe. Hey, appreciate it. Good luck. Thanks for the time. Excuse me, the insights, and again, go Eagles on the weekend, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Go Birds, and appreciate you having me. Looks like practice is wrapping up at Bellevue, so timing was perfect.
Get the win against the Bruins.
Take care. Don't comb that hair later. By the way, I always appreciate Joe. He's got great insights. Love the fact that he's an Eagles fan, and he's actually not kidding, Kinger. He is going to be pacing back and forth, Bud Light in hand, hollering at the TV, sweaty palms, you name it. You got Super Bowl plans?
Yeah, a buddy of ours does a big party every year. He's kind of taken that as his event, and it's good. It's very competitive with the food items. I may or may not do a kind of an email summary of everyone's performance, which has heightened things a little bit. But I've been doing pretty well bringing a hot dog roller to the event. Unexpected.
Hot dog roller?
Yeah, I got the machine that you would have at a gas station. I bought one of those hot dog rollers, but I do think it's wearing off a little bit. Like I've brought the hot dog roller 2 or 3 years, so it's not as big a novelty. It's not as much of a surprise, but it's helped us. We patched together a couple good years with that. So I'm going to level up a little bit. I got some ideas. I don't want to say it here, but
learn from Radio Joe and the Toasty Dog. Just cut the sides off the buns. Toast them a little bit, and
that's
now
not
it's
a bad
whole
idea.
new thing.
The thing is, though, when it's not at your house, it's got to be very easy to do. But I guess I could do that. I could get those buns. I know exactly what he's talking about with the slice, and just put them in the oven before I go, and then they're kind of crunchy. That's not a bad idea. I think we could add to our bun game.
What else makes a Super Bowl party good? I'm intrigued.
Oh God, I think it's an artful thing. You got to have great seating. I have a very specific spot. There's about 4 or 5 leather chairs in the corner, not even by the biggest TV, but that's kind of a spot that I've always sat. It's a group of people gambling. So this guy's got, the numbers game. He's got a board. How long is the anthem going to be? If you're hosting, I mean, you could learn a lot from this guy. He's got, will the anthem be this long? First touchdown scorer. It's about 50 prop bets, and you just guess them, and then they keep track of who got the most right. So it's a lot of kind of construction paper and markers and cash flying around, and White Castle Crave case is usually brought to this Super Bowl party. If you're struggling for ideas, that's not a bad move to bring a Crave case to a Super Bowl party. And I like watching the commercials. I did a lot of advertising through the years, so I pay attention to the commercials too.
Awesome. I think we got to end it with the Pep's original fan question here. Again, you can get your Pep's original Draft House pizza at Cub Foods if you want, or at other retailers around town. Great stuff. The question came in, and I love this. Should Ryan Hartman be suspended? What's your thought?
No, I think here's the deal. Just let Hartsey be Hartsey. I mean, if he were a kid in a grade school, I would want a principal that would say he's spirited. Your son Ryan is spirited, and maybe work with him a little bit differently. Don't keep sending him to detention. No, I don't think he should be suspended, but obviously I'm totally biased. But yeah, I don't want him suspended.
I think he's got to be suspended.
Well, he already is, right? If you get an in-person,
it's minimum.
There's
a minimum.
So it's kind of a crazy question.
But should he?
I think no.
I think the way the game's going, yeah, he kind of should. Premeditated, second time at a face-off. I think he should. But maybe my favorite part is, and we'll see if we can't pull this up, there was a fan poll online. I think it's NHL Discussions on Instagram.
This is exactly why he shouldn't be suspended, by the way.
And they put a poll out that said exactly this: should Ryan Hartman be suspended?
Yeah, some deep hockey Instagram page has a poll, and somebody voted.
Somebody named Ryan Hartman voted
no
in it himself. We don't know what he voted. I'm going to guess it was probably no. We got a screenshot that says Ryan Hartman and others voted on this discussion. So interesting.
Of course he did. And he definitely.
But I'm outnumbered here 2-1. So you guys got it right now. Love it. All right, man. Well, good stuff. Enjoy the weekend. Let's go wild. The big week coming up here before the Four Nations break. Hopefully ended on a high note. So
we're here
till it's here.
Peace.